it wouldn't be a knockout punch to the Georgia football program, but losing Todd Monken, I think, would be a huge blow. He is apparently going to have a second interview with the Baltimore Ravens. He's already also interviewed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For both of them, it would be for the offensive coordinator spot, the same thing that he does at the University of Georgia. And it was understated at first, maybe even a year ago, how much Todd Monken has meant to this Georgia football program in this 3-year run he's had. It's not understated anymore. It's out there now how important he is. Everyone understands that Todd Monken is a big reason why, there's several reasons, but a big reason why Georgia's able to win so many games and win the right games. 2 national championships back to back. It's been a special run. They just don't lose football games. And part of that is talent and other things, but the other part of it is Todd Monken's done a great job with the offense and with the quarterbacks. He's also the quarterback coach. And he's meant a lot to Stetson's ride and development. And the numbers speak for themselves what Georgia's done over the last couple of years. So he doesn't have to do much defending. It would be a big blow because he's been the best offensive coordinator here while Kirby is and maybe he's the best offensive coordinator in Georgia history. I don't know if that's crazy to say. What's happening, it's never been better at Georgia. And him leaving would definitely be disappointing for DAWGS fans. It wouldn't be the end of the world, but it would be a challenge to replace that. And I honestly am unsure who would end up being the OC if they go outside or promote from within. I'm not sure. Something that I've tried not to think about too much. Ryan Curley from Dog Post here talking about Todd Monken, and if he leaves, how big of a deal is that? And I think it'd be a pretty big deal. Todd Monken's part of the reason why Double Dogs exists. Make sure you're picking it up. Links down below. Obviously, Dogstruction is still on sale from last year, but Double Dogs is what's new on the block. And make sure you're going to, if you're in Athens, stop by the Red Zone. When these books are printed, they will be in the Red Zone physically as well. I was there with my father earlier today, and we picked up a bunch of national championship swag. I should have grabbed it right in front of you so I could show you, but they've got cool stuff there, so make sure you're checking them out. They've helped us out a lot. With Monken, you start in 2020. 2020 just sucks, right? You've got to deal with COVID. You've got to deal with all these opt-outs. You got to deal with the quarterback room for Georgia was so confusing. There was a lot of turnover. And the season was just different. It's hard to judge sometimes. Alabama had a phenomenal team that year, and Georgia lost to them. Georgia lost to Alabama and Florida that year. They didn't lose to anybody else. They lost to Bama and Florida. They lost to Kyle Trask, and they lost to Mac Jones on the road. Stetson Bennett was the starter for the Alabama game. I believe DeJuan Mathis started that Florida game, and Stetson came in. I can't remember who started the Florida game. It may have been Stetson. It's funny how many games there have been since then. That was a long time ago. And JT wasn't ready in those games. And when they all did play in 2020, JT Daniels was clearly the guy. But Todd Monken had to come to Georgia and deal with the problems, right? And some of the problems were Georgia's fault, but you recruit JT Daniels. JT can't play immediately. Jamie Newman decides he's not going to play at all. You got a freshman, Carson Beck, who's probably not going to play. You got DeJuan Mathis, this project, and you've got Stetson Bennett, the guy you just don't want to start. So he took that situation and helped Georgia go 8-2, win the Peach Bowl over Cincinnati. That's a big deal. It's a near 6 bowl game. And then 2021, they elevate. They're 9th in scoring, 38 over 38.5 points per game. That's a big deal. It's not something you see for Georgia every single year, especially since in the Kirby Smart era they were more known for their defense. All of a sudden, Todd Monken comes in, and most of that was with Stetson Bennett. Now, JT Daniels started, they put up 62 against Vanderbilt in 2021. Stetson Bennett started, they put up 56 against UAB. It didn't matter, and Georgia was so talented, it helps Todd Monken a lot, but he changed the scheme based on JT and based on Stetson, and they were able to put up points with both of them in there. And that's what was impressive, and that the offense was clearly different with both of them in there. You see more rollouts, more side-to-side stuff with Stetson, more fakes. With JT, a little bit more sitting in the pocket and delivering downfield. Now Stetson does that, and JT did a little bit of the other, but those were their strengths, and Todd Monken knew how to play with those strengths and use the personnel that they had, and they win the national championship. They lose to Alabama. They've lost 3 games in the 3 years Todd Monken has been at Georgia. They lost twice in 2020, once to the Mac Jones-led Alabama and once to the Kyle Trask-led Florida team. Both very great teams, one being an exceptional team that went on to win the whole thing. And they lost to the SEC championship to Bryce Young in Alabama in 2021 and avenge that loss and win the national title. 2022, they lose to nobody, and they're 5th in scoring, 41.1 points per game. We thought that the offense would get even better. And the personnel was great, obviously. You got people like Brock Bowers. You got people like Lab McConkey and A.D. Mitchell, great offensive line. And Stetson, he helped elevate Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett said he didn't really understand football before Todd. He didn't realize he didn't understand football before Todd Monken showed up. It'd be a huge blow. That's what he's done. I still think Georgia would win a lot of football games. I don't think this is going away. Will they win the national championship in 2023? I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. I think they're going to be in the playoff. Now, is that going to happen if Todd Monken's not there? Probably. I think that the show still goes on, but there probably is a little bit of an offensive dip, especially when you're transitioning to a new quarterback. You're transitioning to a new quarterback. That's a different situation. Carson Beck and Stetson Bennett are not the same person. Carson could come in and be better than Stetson, but it's an adjustment period, and maybe the offense has to go through growing pains. Losing Monken would not be ideal this season. It wouldn't. Would you hire from within? Would Del McGee or someone be elevated? I'm not sure. Would they go hunt for somebody else? There's probably a couple names on the market that are desirable. But regardless, Monken has meant a lot to this football program, and I think it took a while for people to realize that. Maybe you did, but it took longer than it should have to realize, wow, Todd Monken's really done a good job with this Georgia team. But regardless, it's a big blow, and the offense has been exceptional at times. Look at TCU game, 65 points. We'll just go this season, 55 against Vanderbilt. 49 and 7 touchdowns and 7 drives against Oregon. He called the games differently if they had to be. 48 points against South Carolina. I'm just naming some off the bat. 42 points against Ohio State. That's a big deal in itself. The defense obviously let up some points, but Georgia's offense came down. Todd Monken called good plays, and Stetson Bennett made nice throws and nice decisions. And they've just been good for a long time. They've destroyed a lot of teams, and he's a big reason for that. It'd be a huge blow. Make sure you're checking out Double Dogs. Links are down below. There's a DoorDash code down below if you're new to the app. And the Red Zone obviously has awesome Georgia gear if you want to check that out. And Devil Dogs will eventually be there. We'll see you at all those places. You can see it at the site dogpost.com.